There is enough scientific evidence to show that social media is damaging our brains. You know this already. This is the reason that you've clicked on this video. Most of us know that it is not good for us, but we don't take this very seriously because we don't know the full extent of this damage, and we don't think about the negative effects it has on our life. I mean, social media scrolling is powerful enough to change the structure of your brain, and not in a good way. In this video, we are going to be looking at some of the ways in which social media has a negative effect on our brain capacity and our mental health. The goal here is to give you a broader perspective and to make you pause and look at its impact on your life. So without wasting any time, let's get straight into it. First, we look at how it damages the brain structure and efficiency. Scrolling a lot of social media damages our brain's ability to memorize things, to retain information. There was a study conducted in which participants were divided into two groups. One group was asked to record their experience using social media or notes immediately after it happened, and the other group was told to experience the event without noting it down. At the end of the study, they found that the participants who had recorded their experiences had more of a memory lapse. They could not remember the information as well as people who had just experienced it. I have experienced this in my own life. I know that my parents can remember information like phone numbers much more easily than I can, which means in some ways their brains are more efficient than mine. Our brain is losing one of the most important functions that it has, that is recording and bringing up memories. We all have different lives, and how this affects us is going to be different. You can think about how a reduced memory or a reduced capacity to bring up information can have a negative impact on your life. For example, if you're a student, this is a serious hindrance for you to cracking that exam that you want to. Using social media reduces our capacity to pay attention. Now, we all know this and we joke about it, saying that we have TikTok brains or that we have an attention span of a goldfish. When we see what's really happening when we scroll social media is we are bringing up all these different information at the same time. It is the opposite of meditation, where you put away these distractions to focus on just one thing. Here, you are bringing up new informations, new possibilities, new emotions with every scroll. This leaves your brain unable to pay attention when you really need to. And if you want to learn anything, if you want to excel at anything, you need to pay attention to get better. Even in social circumstances, if you want to have a good conversation with someone or form a deeper relationship, you need to pay attention to them. And we are losing that capacity fast. Again, ask yourself, do you feel more distracted? Is it hard for you to stick to what you're doing? And I bet if you're a social media user, the answer is yes. Social media reduces our ability to be disciplined. Now, on the surface, if you look at a social media scroller and a gambling addict, you can see a different life. But if you bring them in a lab and do a brain scan, their brains would be exactly the same. The reason being, social media uses the exact patterns used by gambling industry to hook people on their devices. So every time we use social media, our brain becomes more compulsive. We have a reward pathway in our brain, which goes something like this. We have a desire, we work hard to attain that desire, and we are rewarded by feel-good chemicals inside our body. What social media does is, it breaks that cycle. Now, you don't have to do something hard or pursue something to have those feel-good chemicals. You can just scroll and they're right there. In the long term, this makes us compulsive and we lose control over our own actions. We want to stop, but we cannot. And this effect transfers over to other things. So it's not like that you use social media and you're just addicted to social media. No. Your brain structure changes and makes you more compulsive. So if you have other compulsions like eating bad food or playing video games, you are not going to be able to stop yourself from doing those things also. Your brain's ability to control your own action erodes, and it transfers over everything in your life. So ask yourself this. Have you been feeling less of a control over your own actions? Is there something in your life that you want to change, but you're not being able to change that? Scrolling social media decreases our ability to critical thinking. When we scroll social media, we get bombarded with lots of information. Usually in the past, what would happen is you receive a piece of information and you think about it, and your brain has time to digest that information. But now, you scroll something, you get some information, before your brain has the time to think about it or see if it is true or not, you've already scrolled again. And we do this all the time. We do this when we wake up, we do this when we are on the toilet, we do this if we have 5-minute break between anything. Your brain does not get the time to think about all of these things that you have consumed. As a result, you are not practicing critical thinking. And when you don't use it, you lose it. Now we move on to the mental health side of things. When we are looking at social media, we are looking at highly curated lives of other people. It is not their entire experience of life, but really their highlights. They put on the best filters, they only put on the best pictures. As a result, we lose perspective of what is really true and what's false. We end up comparing ourselves to these people and their life. We get into the spiral of self-doubt and we lose confidence in our own self. When we see at all these negative impacts that it has on our life, we really question why we are doing it. And you might answer that it makes us more social. We are connected to more people. But that's the opposite of truth. Studies show that people who spend more time on social media feel less connected to their family and friends. People who spend more time being social on the internet are really getting more isolated. They're losing that ability to stay connected to human beings, to have conversations, to understand emotions when we're talking to someone. If we look at the average time spent with friends among young population, we can see that there is a sharp decline, giving more proof that social media is not doing this one thing that we really expect it to do. Now, there are many more negative effects of social media on a social scale and even on a personal scale. But in this video, I just wanted to roughly cover some of the major ones, just to give you a broader perspective and to make you think about it for a second. Thinking and talking about this topic is very important, because even when we did not grow up with social media, for me, the first time I used social media was when I was 17. But right now, there are kids who are 7, 8, who have TikToks in their hand and they're just scrolling away. What chance does their brain have? What happens to their brain development? What happens to their mental health? Thanks a lot for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.